Hey y'all, I'm going to show y'all a little technique of making some stir-fried vegetables for a chicken fried rice using cauliflower rice. Not so much about the recipe of the sauce or any of that, but how to cook these vegetables in a way that doesn't make any of them mushy. They stay crispy and all that good stuff. Hot pan, you can see it smoking. Little olive oil. Trick is to do these in stages, cooking your hardest vegetables first. In this case, since I'm using broccoli, I'm going to cook broccoli first. When I'm done with that, I'm going to end stages with all the vegetables, which are over here. Got some squash, some onions, some peppers, some carrots, and there you go. Bag of that cauliflower rice, chopped cauliflower that I've used before. Back here I've got some glazed chicken. It's a little soy, ginger, sesame, a little bit of honey, and all the vegetables are going to go into this. You've seen this one before. I like to cook rice in it, but I also like to do my vegetables in there. So let's get this thing cranked up again. It got pretty hot, so I turned it down just to cool it off. These woks are really good about cooling off very quickly. As soon as you turn off the heat, they will cool down pretty quick. I would put your hand on it. It's not that cold, but it works nonetheless. You see, starting to get some color on there. It's hard to do this, hold this camera phone with one hand, so I'm going to show you what we're looking for in all of it. It's about that color. The next time we come back, they're all going to look like that. Alright, they don't quite all look like that. I'm going to show you a couple more steps here. Sprinkle a little, you can see that, it's a little salt and pepper. You don't need much. Salt and pepper in there. There's a little trick. I'm going to grab just a little bit of water, a tiny bit. Just to steam these vegetables up just a little bit. There's no need to worry, they'll still be nice and crunchy by the time you're done with everything. There we go. These have only been cooking for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. And they're still quite crunchy. But I'm gonna stop it right there. Turn. Come on. There we go. It's so hard doing this one-handed. Put them in there. Put my lid on. Those are really crunchy, but all the warmth of that broccoli and all the vegetables we're going to put on top is going to help them get to where we need to go. Next, let's see, we're going to do the carrots. Just a tiny bit of oil. Oh, there we go. Tiny bit of oil. Didn't realize I was pointing at the wrong thing. These are fresh carrots, so they're very crunchy. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna have the same treatment we had on the broccoli. Just get them a little brown, get them a little started. I am not going to salt and pepper every single one of these vegetables, because by the time you salt one or two vegetables and then you add the chicken and the egg and the little soy, you've got plenty of salt in there. So, I love this wok. It gets really hot in the bottom. It doesn't get too hot on the sides. And it's a great conductor of heat, which also means that when you take it off, it won't take too long for that to stop sizzling. Alright, when we come back, these carrots will be right where we need them. Alright, carrots are right where I want them. We're going to do the same thing because they're still really crunchy. I'm going to add a little water to them. I'm going to let these carrots cook until all that water is evaporated, because they are quite a bit harder than the broccoli, so they always take a little bit longer, which is why I'm doing them one of the first two steps. Alright, carrots are where I want them. I'll take them out. Alright, put the lid back on, go to the next vegetable, which will be some onions, bell peppers, I didn't put any oil for these because there's still a little oil left in the pan. And I really don't want to. I'm not trying to fry these. I'm going to cook them nice and soft with still just a little bit of crunch left. So that's going to take a minute. These, I'm not going to salt and pepper at all, but I am going to add a little bit of this soy ginger sesame honey mix to it. So next time you come, these will be cooked, and we'll all be off to the next step. Alright, peppers and onions are nice and soft, and as you can see, they're getting some color to them. So at this point, I'm going to add what I have left over of my soy ginger honey mixture. And sesame. It's right in there. It's going to give a lot of flavor to this mixture, so that when you mix it all together with your vegetables, which is this is the reason why I didn't salt everything. That soy has its own saltiness, of course, and it's going to bring that flavor in the whole dish. That includes your fried egg when we get to that point. And these things, whatever they're called, squash, zucchini and yellow squash. And then these fun things. So when we come back, this will be in that pan, just hanging out. Alright, I rinsed my wok out and wiped it out because the next step is the squash, and I want a nice clean surface so I can get some brown in the squash without getting everything else in there. So I'm going to use about a tablespoon or so of olive oil. Might be a little tad too much. We'll wait for it to get hot. And this squash is going to be done in probably 3 batches. Because if you overdo the squash in this pan, in this wok, you'll tend to steam the squash. Oh, there we go. You'll tend to steam the squash and get a mushy squash, which some people like that real soft squash, but for this dish, I want it to retain some of its shape. So for that purpose, we're going to do a little at a time. I'm sure you can hear that. Hear that kind of frying on the bottom. Once you get that just where you want it, leave it alone. If you keep moving around, you'll never get the color that you want, that we're looking for. So I've cut it up about, I think I did 2 zucchini and 1 yellow, kind of on the smaller side. When we get done, it'll all be in that pan, or pot, whatever you want to call it. There's my peppers and onions on top, you can see, and it's still steaming. It's still hot in there, so it's continuing to cook that broccoli that's on the bottom and those carrots. When we come back, all the squash will be done. Wanted to show you this real quick. That's the color we're looking for. That's been cooking for about 45 seconds, and it's already getting nice and brown. I'll cook this for another 45 seconds on the sides that it's on right now, and then I'll move on to the next batch. Like I said, they'll all go in my little Dutch oven there. Alright, been cooking about 45 seconds. Let's see what she looks like. Oh yeah. Sorry if that's making you dizzy. Kind of making me dizzy when I look down at the screen. I promise I'll get better at these videos. Alright, when we come back, I will this next time have everything done in that pot. Dutch oven, not a pot. And I'll show you how to do the cauliflower. Alright, I added my cauliflower. I didn't add any more oil. I'm just going to kind of get a dry color on the outside of this cauliflower. Has a lot of water content. I'm not trying to make it mushy. So we're going to cook this for just probably less than 2 minutes. Because then we're going to put it in the Dutch oven with all of these vegetables. And add some chicken along with a fried egg I'm going to do. And reintroduce it into the wok. So it's going to continue to cook just for a couple more minutes, so you don't want to get it cooked all the way, especially when you're putting it back into the pan that you're going to cook some more, because then you get some really mushy, not very appealing vegetables. Where's my pan? There we go. Switch this to the left hand. And to this, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of salt and pepper. You see the pepper in there. I didn't add much, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of both. Not a lot at all. That's going to cook for, I'm going to let this cook for 2 minutes and put it in our trusty Dutch. Alright, they're done. They've been cooking exactly 2 minutes. And they've got just a tiny bit of color on some of them. They're still very, very, not super crunchy, but they have a little left for when I put everything back in the pan. So let's put this in my Dutch. I'm going to do it left-handed. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. Alright. There we go. Cover this thing back up. I'm going to rinse this off. And we'll be back. Alright. Clean, rinsed out, wiped out. Getting hot again. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of olive oil, because I don't want these eggs to stick. I've got 4 eggs. You can see how much that is. 4 eggs that I've already put into a small bowl. Alright. We're going to let that sit. I'm going to let you watch the whole process of this one. I am going to put a little salt and pepper on top of these. I'm going to let that fry from the bottom. I've got about a 3.5. I'm going to turn it up to about 4.5. It doesn't take long for that pan to heat up on the bottom there and just turn the heat up. We're going to let it sit. The reason I'm going to let it sit right there is because I want the bottom of that cook, of those eggs to cook. And when the bottom of those eggs cook to what I'm looking for, I'll be able to take those pretty much and flip them and chop them up. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. I don't know if you can hear me, but I was just humming the ABCs. My daughter's in the background watching her iPad. Peppa Pig, ABCs, Sesame Streets, all the things. Start to see it's starting to get brown on the edge there. That's what I'm looking for. Now, full disclosure, this doesn't always work. Sometimes I don't get enough oil in there. And see, it does. See, it goes right up. If you let it cook long enough, with just a tiny bit of oil, that heat will begin to release whatever you have in there. So I'm going to chop these up. It's hard to do with the camera in my hand, but you can see kind of what I'm doing. I'm going to get these nice and done and then add them to my Dutch. I wanted to show you this. I have not stirred around any of the vegetables, any of the things that I put in my Dutch oven here. It's going to sit the way it is, and then I'm going to return it back into the wok, and I'll show you a video of that. Add the chicken and let it just cook for a couple minutes, and then be ready to serve. Alright, another clean wok. I'm about to add all of this into there. Can't do it with one hand, so when I come back, I'll just have it all in the wok, just as it's poured from the Dutch. All right, there we go. That took about literally about 10 seconds for me to get that all in there. But you can see I've got everything in there. You can see the cauliflower rice dices. All my eggs in there. The onions and bell peppers that have that sauce mix into it. And by doing just that part, mixing this all together, I'm going to have all that flavor in there. I have a really nice dish. So, without further ado, there you go. The whole thing I just showed you is about the technique of cooking vegetables separately and using a Dutch oven like that to keep them warm, keep the harder vegetables to continue to cook, while the ones that are softer up top, you cook those the freshest. Keeps everything from being mushy. There we go. Some chicken fried cauliflower rice. Like I said before, it's all about the technique of cooking the vegetables separately, and to keep any one vegetable from being mushy. And you can see the glaze on that chicken. I didn't show you that. I'll show you that another time. But really easy, really delicious, very healthy. There you have it, cauliflower chicken fried rice.